sometimes when we make the point is I can share this 45 minutes. Once the first break, they count always only 50 minutes. The second has to be 30 minutes. So I can make 44 minutes and the computer counts 50. So when the bank percents, okay. I never know what is in the Viking, so we are relaxed and we have time.
So whatever time we arrive, 45 minutes.
I mean, now I have for the first 56 track I have many minutes. So maybe we could make now 30.
I think it is. Possibly. It's a famous cathedral though for sure.
I thought that was RHEI.
Guided tour around Luxembourg. Don't feel you have to participate in that. We will be confirming exactly what time and where the bus will be departing from when we're in Luxembourg. So if you don't want to join the guided tour and you just want to explore on your own or just find a nice cafe or restaurant and sit and relax for a couple of hours, then you know that's perfectly fine to do. Don't feel that you need to join us for it, but we will give you the time to be meeting the guides, and then once we meet there, whoever comes along will be conducting the guided tour with them. But we'll go over it again a little bit later on as we approach Luxembourg. Once we head on our way after the comfort stop, if you have a pen with you, keep it handy, because I'll be testing your knowledge a little bit of some of the region. A little game. There is a prize to be won. Yes, I've got a gold and silver prizes for you available. Very special. But we'll get to that. Something to look forward to. So a few more minutes and we'll be arriving at the comfort stops. So I'll be back on shortly. Okay, so here we are coming into the service stop. It's just after 11 o'clock now, so if everyone make sure we are all on the same time. So the bus will be departing from here again at 11:35. So we'll have half an hour here, 11:35 departure, so we can be back on the bus. And that's the small service station just ahead of us there, straight out the front. We're just going to park in the bus depot just here on the right, so just remain seated until we come to a stop.
Going down the road.
Turn it off.
So it's actually quite a famous region for the production of a certain thing that we've been coming through at the moment. Does anybody know what this region is famous for? Champagne. Yes, that is correct. So it does come from this region, and it was actually the Romans. The Romans were the first known inhabitants to plant the vineyards in the Champagne region. So the name actually comes from the Latin Campagna, and referred to the similarities between the rolling hills of the province and the Italian countryside of Campania, which is in the south of Rome. So the Romans are responsible for starting it all off.
So what's our gold prize?
You will find out about your gold prize. It's the most coveted trophy that we have, all related to France. So it's actually the way they make it. Does anybody know how they make the bubbles in the champagne?
Carbon dioxide.
Double fermentation.
Ah, we have a winner. There in here. Not of the prize yet. No, that's not the real. That's not the real test. But yes, it's a double fermentation. So they add yeast, which actually produces and makes the bubbles, and the first fermentation they do, and then they remove the yeast by turning the bottles upside down, and they freeze them, and then they remove the yeast, and then it's the double fermentation process. So it actually takes about 3.5 years to make a bottle of champagne. And it became the sparkling champagne. It became popular following the death of Louis the XIV in the 1700s, and it was his nephew Philippe II, the Duke of Orleans, became the regent of France, and he enjoyed the sparkling version of champagne, and is featured at his nightly Petites Soupers at the Palace Royal. So that's how it sparked it all off. Royalty took a tipple for it, and everybody else joined in. It's still famous today, of course. And this is the only region where champagne can actually be called itself champagne, because this is the actual reason. Champagne isn't the actual drink, it's a sparkling wine, but champagne is the brand. So if you have something called champagne, it needs to come from here to traditionally actually be champagne. You've got different ones such as Prosecco and other sparkling wines, which are produced in many other regions, but champagne itself, the real stuff, comes from around here. And of Of course, it's enjoyed around the world. Many people like to have a sip on it. Mark Twain once commented that too much of anything is bad, but too much champagne is just right. Other famous associations with it, apparently, I don't know how this is true or not, but Marilyn Monroe allegedly was to have taken a bath in 350 bottles of champagne.
Oh my God.
I don't know if that's true. I'd imagine you'd be a little bit sticky if you came out of that bath. You maybe have to have another one, but you know, it's a nice story. So we do have a little bit of time before we get to Luxembourg. So as I say, it's about another 2 hours, 15 minutes roughly. So I mentioned you might need a pen earlier on. I do have 1 or 2 spare ones, but if you've got a pen, I'm going to come round and I'm going to give you a little... Very beautiful to see. That may come up in the future, changing from Luxembourg to Reims, but you never know. Today we are going to Luxembourg, which is also very beautiful. And also another country to check off our lists of countries visited. How are we doing with the questions? Anybody finished?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody still going?
Yes, we're still going.
Oh, okay, I'll give you another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes.
We're listening to you.
I know, I'm getting chatty now.
Is there a prize if you miss all of the questions?
The prize, if you miss all the questions, you're going to walk to Luxembourg. Well, that's the beauty of multiple choice. If you guess, hopefully you'll get something right. And some of them are 50-50, true or false.
I would guess that. That's too obvious. So the last one is this one. Oh, yeah, those wines. I know the style.
Cultural operation. This is in the Champagne region.
So white wines are all makers remove the black grape skins quickly to prevent the colour of the white juice from being stained. So they just take the skins out. And the majority of champagnes are made from a blend. But some are also made from 100% Pinot Noir and 100% Chardonnay, so it depends on the manufacturer. The 15th important royal decree or law that changed the champagne industry in the 1728. Now the choices were A, only the wines of Champagne would now be allowed to be transported in bottles. B, at the palace in Versailles, champagne could only be served in coupe-shaped glasses. C, he ordered the storing of champagne underground, so the areas that the Romans had dug under the city of Reims to so make sure it was properly chilled. And D, all the champagne bottles must be made of green glass. So A, B, C, D. Any takers?
D.
Oh.
D.
How about D?
It was A. Only wines of the champagne would now be allowed to be transported in bottles. All the other wines had to be transported in wooden casks and barrels due to tax efficiencies. And this new law meant that bottled sparkling wine could be sent directly to people not only within France, but now to England, Holland, Russia, and the colonies, America and beyond. Barrels, they were not good for champagne at all, because they're porous, so that means they breathe. So that naturally lets the gas and the bubbles to escape and left it flat. So that's why they ship the champagne in bottles. So A is the answer. Question number 4. By French law, a wine can only be called champagne if the grapes are grown in the Champagne region. We talked about this a little bit. And that is officially designated by the French government. Now, which of the following is not a type of sparkling wine? So which is not sparkling wine? We've got A, Cava, B, Prosecco, C, Barbera de Alba, D, Cremant, E, Sect, and F, Moscato d'Asti. Any takers? The correct answer there is C, Barbera de Alba. That's a red wine. Anybody know from where? Anybody heard of it? It's from Italy. It's got a very low tannin count and a high acidity, and all the others are sparkling wines produced outside of the Champagne region. Cava is from Spain, Sect from Germany, Cremant is French from the sparkling regions outside of Champagne, commonly produced in Alsace, Bordeaux. Prosecco and Moscato d'Asti are from Italy. So lots of other productions of sparkling wines around. So the correct answer there was C, Barbera de Alba, the red wine from Italy, was the one that is not sparkling. Question number 5. Which American president was the first to serve champagne at a state dinner? You should all get this, surely.
No.
Jefferson.
So we've got George Washington, B, John Adams, C, Thomas Jefferson, D, Abraham Lincoln, and E, Theodore Roosevelt.
C.
Thomas Jefferson, that were fully ripened. And the dry champagne also requires longer for aging for the best tastes. So the widow, Pomeroy, was able to get some growers to agree to keep their grapes on the vines for longer. And she did this by guaranteeing to absorb any of the losses once they were picked, so she would cover the costs if they made any loss. So it was a risk. And even I think our own staff are a bit sceptical of it, but she gave it a shot and she was successful. And now 95% of all champagne sold is brut. So C, she was a widow, a very entrepreneurial widow. Probably wealthy too, yeah. So, number 8, which American military leader is credited with saving the historic champagne cellars of Epernay from destruction by the retreating Nazis?
All right, they're gone.
Was that General Eisenhower, Patton, or General Rommel?
No.
And the correct answer is General George Smith Patton Jr. Yeah. Yes, so that was Patton, yes, C. Patton. So the Nazis, they knew that their days were numbered after D-Day on the 6th of June 1944, when the Allied troops landed along a stretch of heavily fortified French coastline to fight them off the beaches of Normandy. And General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the operation a crusade in which we will accept nothing less than full victory, with more than 5,000 ships, 13,000 aircraft supported the invasion. And by the day's end on June 6, the Allies had gained a foothold in Normandy. Now the D-Day, the cost was high. More than 9,000 Allied soldiers lost their lives or were wounded, but more than 10,000 soldiers began the march across Europe to defeat Hitler. And then Epernay, the Nazis had stored dynamite to blow up miles of underground champagne cellars from and bridges if they had to evacuate. But the city was spared when Patton's army took them completely by surprise on August 28, 1944. So the correct answer there was C, General Patton. How are we doing so far? Anybody on full marks? No? Okay. It's not about who wins and loses, it's about playing the game. So, number 9, true or false?
She would say that's good.
The smaller bubbles means the better the champagne. What do we think? True? True is the correct answer. Size does matter. So the champagne researcher, Gerard Liga-Belair, he discovered that bubbles contain up to 30 times more flavour and aroma than the liquids. So that means a continuous stream of fine, small bubbles acts as a flavour delivery system to your taste buds. And he estimates that up to 11 million bubbles can escape a standard full-size flute of champagne. There you go. It's a lot of bubbles. So now there is science to back up the claim that a smaller and more regular stream of bubbles are indeed best. So it's true for number 9. Number 10. An interesting period in your history during Prohibition, when it was illegal to manufacture or sell alcohol. The infamous Chicago gangster Al Capone, he preferred to drink champagne rather than he preferred to drink which champagne rather than gin? Was it the Dom Perignon, Veuve, I have to excuse my pronunciation, Veuve Clicquot, C, Pomeroy, or D, Louis Roeder? And the correct answer there is C. Apparently Al Capone was rather partial to a tipple of Pomeroy. There you go. Who would have thought? Gangsters and champagne. So it was apparently the Greno Champagne had been receiving large orders from a mysterious client in Chicago. He never haggled about the price, promptly paid his bills, and then he decided to go and see who this important client himself was. So he went to Chicago to try and meet him, and then apparently upon arrival he was greeted by the FBI agents who arrested him, as he was unknowingly, his important customer was the one and only Al Capone. The newspaper headlines read, "The Count in the Clink," but he was released